when a current alarm condition has been silenced. The last light on this side is your system trouble light. Any trouble that comes onto the alarm panel, you will show this yellow indication light to let you know that it's there. The operation keys on the front of the panel. First, you have an acknowledge step. Anytime you have a condition that occurs on the alarm panel, a sound alert will be sounded from inside the panel. This acknowledge key will silence that so that you can look and see what's going on without the noise. This key is also used as a step key. If you have multiple alarms or troubles, you can step through each one to identify by using this key. The next key is an alarm silence key, which is exactly what it says. When you have an alarm condition come in, you can silence all of your notification appliances by pressing this key. The next key is called a drill key. This key is used when you're doing fire and flooding alarm tests. By pressing this key, all of your notification appliances will activate, both the horn strobes for your fire and your bell circuit for your flooding. The final button on this side is the system reset button. When you have a fire condition and you've cleared that area, you can press this button to reset the panel. Over on the left side of the panel is your keypad and arrows. These will all be used during programming functions of the system. You have your 0 through 9 keys, star button, pound button, 4 arrows, and an enter key. We'll now go through the terminal locations on the fire alarm panel. TB1, which is located here, this is where you get your DC power outputs. You will have a rippled regulated power, non-resettable power, and filtered resettable power. The next terminal is TB2. This is where your notification outputs come from. All your horn strobes, bells come from this location. The next terminal is TB3. This is your relays. You have a supervisory relay, an alarm relay, and a trouble relay that are all activated from the panel. When you have an alarm condition, your alarm relay will change states. The next terminal is TB4. This is your 232 serial port, which is connected to your touchscreen control panel. The next terminal is TB5. This is the 485 connection, which should be tied into your remote annunciator. The next terminal is TB6. This is the SLC connection. SLC standing for signal line circuit. This is where all of your detectors, modules, pull stations are connected into.
You ready?
And then the final terminal block is TB7. This is where your main 110 volt AC power is connected. Now we're going to talk about programming of your alarm panel. All programming is password protected. The program also has a non-volatile memory. This means that the system can be completely without main or backup power and not lose any of your existing programming. At any time during the use of the keypad and programming, you can use the left arrow key as your escape button. Pressing this button will back you out to the previous screen. The keypad itself will allow you to enter both numbers and letters, similar to text messaging on everybody's cell phones. If you want to enter the letter N, you must press the 6 key 3 times. To enter the number 6, you would just press the number 6 button once. There's a quick reference guide on programming changes on page 70 of your manual. This would include clearing program, auto programming, point programming, password changes, changes to your system message, changes to your zones, editing your special zones, changing your system functions, and checking the program for errors. We won't be showing you all of these functions because some of them aren't used on your system. Now to get into the programming area. To enter your programming area, you would first press the enter key. Your screen would ask you, do you want to go into programming or read status? To go into programming, you press 1. Now you must enter your password. Press your enter key, and now you have your screen that displays what choices you can go. If you wanted to go, for instance, to clear programming, you'd press 0. Let me warn you first that if you go to this area and you complete it, all of the programming will be erased and your panel will no longer have any of the devices that you've previously programmed in. So you don't want to go there. You hit your left arrow key and you'll back out to the previous screen. Now we're going to show you how to use your auto program feature. The auto program feature will simply go out and look for all the devices that are on your system and show them to you, so that you can program them. By doing this, you hit the enter key. You want to go into your programming, so press 1, enter your password, press the enter key. Now the auto program is for number 1, so you would press the number 1 key. Now this is an automatic function. It automatically goes in and starts programming the panel. It's going out looking for all the devices that are attached. When the system is finished looking for the devices, it will bring up a screen that shows you what is installed. This system currently has 3 detectors, 2 modules, and 4 panel circuits. The 4 panel circuits refer back to the notification appliance terminal that we talked about earlier. When this is completed, you simply hit the backspace key to back out to the previous screen. Now we're going to talk about changing passwords. If you desire, you can change your password as often as you like. To get to that area, you press your enter key, press 1 for programming, put your current password in, press enter, then you want to go to password, which is number 3. Once you're in there, this is where you put in your new password. All you do is type in your number and hit the enter key. If you desire not to go any further, you backspace out to go to the previous screen. We're going to talk about changing your zone labels. These are the zone labels that are currently on your programming to show you the locations, the general locations of where your fire detection units and flooding alarm units are located. To get into the zone labels, press enter, press 1 for programming, enter in your current password, press enter. Then you want to go to 5 for zones. Now in here it'll ask you what zone you'd like to change, and it'll ask you 01 through 89. That's how many software zones you can have on this panel. You press that number and then you can enter up to a 19-character zone label. Now for the last section, this is the check program area. The panel will automatically go through and verify that there are no troubles or problems with your current programming. The last section I want to show you on your programming stage of the panel is how to check your program. To check your program, you simply press the enter key, press 1 for programming, enter in your password, press enter. Now what we're going to do is check to make sure that there aren't any errors on the current program that's in here. You do that by simply pressing the 8 key. The system automatically checks your programming out and it'll tell you program check is okay, retest panel now. That's telling you that everything's good and you can go ahead and test your system, your smoke detectors and your heat detectors, pull stations, and flooding alarm sensors. We're now going to be talking about 2 other sections in the panel. This is called the read status change and the read status entry. I want to make sure that you know that there's a difference between the two so that you don't go to one screen looking for another. The read status change is an actual programming feature that you can go in to set up for your walk test, changing your time, disabling your detectors and sensors. The read status entry is simply going in to read specific detectors and what they're seeing and reading your history buffer. The read status area will provide the end user to disable and enable detectors, also to do walk tests and other functions. To get into the read status area, you press your enter key. You want to press 1 for programming and then enter the read status password. Press the enter key and then you have your screen. The screen now asks you for if you want to isolate one of your detectors, change your sensitivity of a detector, clear your verification, clear the history buffer, set a new time, or a walk test. If you wanted to disable or enable a detector, you would press 1 for isolate. Then the screen will simply ask you if you're disabling or enabling a detector, a module, or one of your notification circuits, or they call bell circuits. If you wanted to isolate and disable one of your detectors, you'd simply press the star key plus the number of the detector that you wanted to disable. Disabling the detector would mean that you could do hot work or other maintenance in the area without causing a false alarm from the work that you're doing. When you have a detector that's disabled, your alarm panel will show a trouble, just letting you know that that detector has been disabled. We're now going to go into the read status entry. Press the enter key and it'll ask you for the read status entry, press 2. Press your number 2 key and it'll read out if you want to read your point, which is your detector or module, print history points, which you can't do because you don't have a printer hooked up, read your history buffer, or print your history. If you wanted to read a specific detector and see what it sees, you would press the enter key, press 2 for read status, and then enter in the detector that you would like to see. You would press star for a detector and pound for modules. So you press star 01, enter, and it'll go to the smoke detector on that address, which is the smoke detector located up in your bridge. It says the smoke detector is normal, and then down at the bottom it tells you if there's any obstructions inside the detector, such as smoke or dust or anything like that. This detector currently is reading 0.00, which means that it's a clean detector. To get out of this screen, you press the backspace key or the left arrow key. That takes you back to your previous screen. On this alarm panel, there is a history buffer. The history buffer contains the last 650 events that have occurred on this panel. This is good for troubleshooting techniques to go back and find where all the previous alarms and trouble conditions have occurred. Now I'm going to show you how to use the history buffer. Press your enter key, press 2 for the read status entry, and then it asks you, press number 2 and enter to read your history. Now use your down arrow key to walk through the events. This panel currently has 8 events on the history buffer. As you walk through, it will show you each of